Hello there, Qckslvrslash, and tonight we have a video from Whistling Corsair, hot off the presses. This one just came in, which is kind of nice because, like I said in last night's video, I can't get replays from like 0.7 and 0.8 to work, but 0.9 seems to be working because it's my current version. The other thing I believe everyone's probably waiting for is the winner of that Warspite, and the winner is Qckslvrslash. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm gonna poke you in the comment you made. Please comment below here as well with your email address so I can talk to you, so I can make sure you get the Warspite. The one other caveat I'm adding on, because I've had an issue with this in the past, if I don't hear anything in a week, I'm just gonna pick a new winner, because I've had a couple prizes that just seem to float on for months and months and months, and it just becomes something that becomes harder and harder to track as to whether or not they've gotten it, they've received it, and all that. So if I don't hear from you in a week, Qckslvrslash, it's going to be going to someone else. If you already have it, well, that's why I need your email, because we'll figure out something you don't have that you want, and that'll be your prize instead. To everyone else, that's not going to be the only thing I'm giving away, so keep tuned, comment, participate in my videos, and you too could win something. Now to the game at hand. It felt appropriate to pick a Tirpitz game because, for those of you who have been around that long, the Tirpitz was the first video I ever featured. It's a ship I've always loved. It's a premium, which felt fitting considering I'm giving another one away, and she's received a buff since I think I last featured her, in that she now has secondaries like the Bismarck, which a definite buff, because that umbrella of doom that is the Bismarck can just be so painful to deal with. Now, there should be some good action in this one, because when you look at the teams, there's a good chunk of 8s, and they are battleships for the most part. The thing I feel sorry for is that Koenig, who's in a division with a tier 6 destroyer and just got the worst matchmaking they possibly could. You'll also probably hear my dog whining in the background, so just give me a half second so I can appease him and he can be quiet. And problem solved. So Whistling took a shot at a side-on Miyoko, which is normally such a sweet target, but there, 2 overpens, none of those juicy citadels, which I think might have just ended that Miyoko had they connected. But the ship lives to sail another day, and he seems to be learning his lesson that Miyoko's turning out, getting out of dodge. The incoming shell's far too hot, but look, another side-on cruiser. And one of the big things about this game is just look around. I can promise you there is always something side-on to you. You just gotta find it. Like Whistling Corsair just did, 2 citadels and an overpen is all it took. Goodbye, Chapayev. And I know I've featured replays on this channel where people just seem to get tons and tons of citadels, and some of it is shot selection. It can be really easy to focus in on one target. In this case, you know, you have that Miyoko side on early. It can be easy to just pay attention to only them and just keep shooting them. But if you look around, particularly if the enemy team is more spread out like they are here, where they've gone to more than one cap, you're always going to have a target. Now, speaking of buffed secondaries, look at those ones go, working over that Kogoro from a distance, and I just love these secondary builds. They're so much fun to just go out and just watch all the guns on your ship going crazy. There may be better ones in some people's opinions, but I don't know that there's one more fun than a full secondary build. Now, as the torpedoes that Corsair had to dodge earlier and that smoke screen indicate, there's a destroyer nearby, specifically an Akatsuki, last spotted near the screen. And this is where you wish you were in the Bismarck, and I guess that's really the thing that separates the Tirpitz and Bismarck. Tirpitz gets torpedoes, Bismarck can see torpedoes. Corsair manages to dodge the bulk of them, but one does connect forcing a quick damage control and repair party, and of course it'll be back in good health. Enemy Farragut sneaking in behind that island, unfortunately not going to be a good target, and look at that. Bit of luck, but one torp is all it took to end that Akatsuki. And maybe he should have been paying a little more attention, who knows. Meanwhile, across the map, Whistling Corsair's friendly Leningrad just got finished by his sister ship's secondaries, proving that they can do work. Now so far, I'd say things are pretty even. The enemy team hasn't managed to take a second cap, so they're falling behind a little on points, but kills are close and the game is still early, just over 5 minutes, coming up on 6 minutes in. Unfortunately for this Farragut, he's getting a little too close to Corsair's division mate there, Maelstrom, and he's going to find himself permanently spotted and not a position you want to be in. And as you can see, Maelstrom fires his torpedoes, and where these are really useful with approaching destroyers is just forcing them to continue to sail straight. And you can see that Farragut is going hard in the paint. He wants to get his torps into a target, and he doesn't care if he dies doing it, and that's such a crummy way to play. Because in this case, sure, it worked out. Maelstrom detonated. That's why the kill happened, but so often you die before you get the torpedoes off, or maybe you get them off, but because you're so focused on dodging every shell coming your way, you don't hit the target and then you die. Either way, the Farragut is a goner, leaving just his buddy in the Koenig from that division, and I do feel bad for this Koenig because he is going to have the pleasure of meeting Corsair's guns later in this match. Meanwhile, the Miyoko from earlier still kiting about. He's done a pretty good job preserving his health. He lost a good chunk to start, but since then has managed to keep the remainder of his hit points. And Corsair, maybe not doing the same. Thankfully, he does have the repair party, starts recovering some of that precious hit health, and he gets into the cap. And this is really going to put the pressure cooker on that enemy team. They've lost all but one of their destroyers. They're really starting to wither away. Corsair's team kind of starting to pull ahead, especially if they get this cap. That really will be not a deciding factor, but it kind of is. You can see the enemy teams grouped up well, which can work really well in a low number situation. They are taking Charlie, that mating destroyer, the enemy Minsk, doing its job, sneaking into a cap, but there's a Citadel on the Miyoko, and that removes a decent portion of his remaining hit points. Once he's spotted again, Corsair will probably have him finished. The secondaries shooting at its sister ship. There can be only one, and you know, if you're Corsair, you want it to be you. Miyoko gets a little lucky. He angled in, and I think that really saved him. The shot's over Penny, not hitting the Citadel, but he can only get lucky for so long. There's 3,600 damage right through the bow out of one shell. The secondaries now working on him. The question here is, will the secondaries beat the torpedoes? And they do. There's the close quarter expert, 23 hits, and a double strike. That poor Koenig getting hit by some of the scatter, I think. Unless I just completely misread where Corsair was aiming. Either way, 2 ships down, and now this one really is kind of getting out of hand. The Bismarck's running away, Corsair is turning, getting all those guns on target, secondaries included. Unfortunately, well, this ship is fast, she is not all that maneuverable. Winds up grounding himself, but it means he dodges a couple of the Bismarck shells, and you can tell the difference in build here. Corsair's guns, they're hitting the Bismarck. The Bismarck secondaries aren't firing back, which pretty much tells you the Bismarck isn't a full secondary build. But it's time to focus on something else because the Minsk gets spotted, low health. Corsair's rear turrets are at the ready. He fires, And the shots fall true. At least it looked like they did. I saw a chunk of the Minsk health disappear, but I guess those were the Benson shells. Only the secondaries hitting. And continuing to hit. And with 4 kills right now, you know Corsair is hoping to kind of round out his medal count. He's got the double strike, close quarters, just got high caliber. Wouldn't it be nice to get the Kraken? And that Minsk and this Bismarck are really the 2 prime targets to achieve that. And that Bismarck is sitting pretty side on. Come on, just need 1 great hit, and well, he gets a good one. Shaves a decent chunk off. That Minsk continuing to shoot, and this is where you kind of wish you were maybe the Bismarck, to have that hydro, be able to see into that smoke once you get close enough, and just charge in on the remaining destroyer. That said, I think Corsair's made a pretty decent use of what he has. The secondaries firing, can they get over the hill? Not quite. Friendly Hatsu finishing the Minsk off, leaving just a pair of Bismarcks. And they're running, and they're in all kinds of trouble. They're gonna get that buddy if you really think about it, and there goes most of the buddy's health. But they're in a bad position. The one is almost dead, is dead, leaving just 1 target, and Corsair just can't seem to secure that 5th kill. Up to 141,000 damage, and just itching to finish 1 more target off. Get that Kraken. And, well, if he does now, he'll probably also get his Confederate. If my math in my head is right. It makes sense just with the number of targets he's been hitting and the amount of health remaining on that enemy ship. But you can kind of see this one's done. So as we watch Corsair slowly work down the Bismarck, and some of his team start to disappear, which actually just increases his odds. Although, that Bismarck does have more hit points than Corsair, so if they aren't careful, this could get out of hand really quick. Get that bow in. You can't be sitting side on. There you go. Bismarck, not really paying attention to those words. Takes 5,000 damage, and it looks like it's going to be a brawl between the heavies. Secondaries battering one another. Somehow their crews haven't been killed or guns disabled. And this is just a good old-fashioned slugfest. Battleship on battleship, in close. Decent hit there, 3,000. And, well, this is where I'd say Corsair really gets the advantage. Those torpedoes probably going to be the undoing of this Bismarck. He can't really double back because, well, hot's a hard. So if he cuts out hard, he'll probably be facing torps from him. And Corsair fires them off early. I think he kind of knows what's happening. The Bismarck turning hard to duck under those. And that's just going to carry him forward into Corsair's torps. And he still has another set. The rudder coming hard over. He's just got to get that next set of tubes on, and this one will more than likely be a kill shot. 2 kilometers. The guns aren't even facing this way. That Bismarck, I think, resigned to his fate here. And, well, that's gonna be the game. 12,000 damage, and the Kraken. There we go. And all told, 586,000 damage, 5,500 experience, 2 devastating strikes, double strike, close quarters expert, Kraken unleashed, and high caliber. 186,000 damage, and just a fun game to watch. And it kind of brings everything full circle. Just over a year in, celebrating 1 year on YouTube with the same ship I started with. Congratulations once again, Gyrene. I hope you enjoy the Warspite or whatever you end up getting. Please comment below. I don't want to have to try to hunt you down. Although, I suppose everyone else is probably hoping you don't contact me because then they could win it. I hope everyone's enjoyed this video. I hope everyone's enjoyed the content they have watched over the last year. It means a lot that people come back, they comment, they, engage, and it makes it worth it. So I'd like to thank you all for that, and I hope to just be able to do the same going forward. If you did enjoy it, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. And as always, I am Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one for you all later.